Peace, beautiful people. This is Dev and DP from ICG, and we're here with one of our good investors / fix and flippers, Carla Weatherly.
Hi.
Hey, so today what we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation and talk to Carla about her experiences in terms of fixing and flipping, how long she's been doing it, the pros and cons of doing it, how she got into it, and just talks about the ins and outs of it. So, Carla. Hey, so tell us about yourself. Tell us how you actually got into the fix and flip game and why did you do it?
Well, many years ago, 20-something years ago, I got into this industry as a site superintendent, and it was very stressful, so I decided, he's laughing because I worked for his father.
Got you.
And I decided if I was going to stress this much, it might as well be mine.
On your own?
Yes.
Right.
So I started my own business, just doing some repairs, getting used to the whole process. And then my mother was a vice president at PNC Mortgage, and they had to do some layoffs, so she was contracted, so they had to buy her out.
Right.
So she ended up buying 6 or so houses around Atlanta. They needed to be repaired. Ooh, this is a great time for me to leave.
Right.
And I left, and that was 23 years ago.
That's why you left?
That's why I left.
And you never looked back?
I never looked back.
All right, cool. So
I occasionally did work for him,
Right.
the guy I used to work for. But I've been on my own since then.
Perfect. So, it's interesting that you say that because the misconception is that as a woman, women are supposed to not have experience in terms of construction, maintenance and repair, fixing and flipping, things like that, right? Yes. So, clearly you already had the experience, working with Delante's father and such. So, what were some of the barriers and roadblocks that you had to kind of overcome when you first started going into that game?
The same ones I experienced today or yesterday.
All right, let's talk about it.
It's just what you said. A lot of times when you encounter men, they tend to think you don't know what you're doing. It could be something as simple as when I had these appliances delivered. I had a screw gun in my hand. To come in here and do something, he assumed I was going to put the cord on the back of the range. And he yelling at me and carrying on from outside about, what are you doing with that, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me?
Right.
So it's that type of thing. So a lot of times I can go into Home Depot or Lowe's or any supplier, and you're usually questioned about what it is you're doing, which you find offensive. And it shouldn't necessarily be offensive because they may just be trying to help. But when you hear it so often, so it's always that. And then there are times when I'll have subcontractors that'll expect me to clean up behind them in terms of, oh, you can do that. You can just go ahead and do that. But you didn't tell Delante to do that when he hired you.
Right.
I hired you, and you want me to do half of your job for any other person, mostly men. You will complete the job 100%. So I run into those type of obstacles. Okay.
So what would be some things that you would kind of tell, women who are coming into this game, or even some women who are already seasoned, what would be some nuggets that you can give to them?
Just know your craft. If you know what you're supposed to know, if you know slightly more than they know, you are already one step ahead.
Right.
As long as you know what you're supposed to know, you can cut back on some of the unnecessary garbage that you'll encounter.
True.
Now, what about if they don't know anything about construction or they didn't have the background that you had? What would you tell them? What would be your advice to help them get through that first 1 or 2 projects?
Find someone you trust. See, for me, even though I've been flipping since maybe 99 or 2000, there are still things that I don't know, and I don't have a problem admitting that I don't know. I'm always willing to ask. I was trained by someone that Delante was trained by. If I called Delante and asked him a question more than 4 times in a row, within 5 minutes, I'll hear, didn't so-and-so and so teach us to write all this stuff down and then call and ask the question? So I trust Delante. I would always go to him and ask him, what's your thought, what's your opinion? Even if it's a door, I'll ask him, what do you think? If it's a shower head, what's your opinion? I have one or two other people that I trust in this business where I can go to and ask questions and get advice. So I would say find someone you trust, shadow them when you hire them to do your first project. Shadow them so you can pick up as many nuggets as you can. That way on the next project, like I'm doing another project across that further down Cascade.
Okay.
And although when working for his father, I did hotels, so I understand how to do from the ground up.
Correct.
I'm on a piece of land that's very challenging. So the guy that's doing the grading for me has walked me through this entire process. It is complicated and expensive, but I trusted him just based on our conversations in the beginning.
Now, when you say challenging, is it challenging because of the different elevations of
It's challenging because, yes, I am on a slope,
Okay.
and I've had to build up
Right.
15 to 20 feet from the original lay of the land.
Okay.
So my grade is
And
up.
also, she had to blast with
Yeah.
dynamite, son.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had like, so you dealing with rock and everything. else.
Right, I had
Yeah.
lots of huge boulders on
Wow,
the property.
wow.
So yes, we blasted, and I am grateful that I'm finished blasting.
I know that's right. Let me ask you something. Let's circle back a little bit because you said something that was really significant in terms of having people on your team that you trust, right? So when you're forming your team, do you think about people who are specialized in a specific trade to be a part of your team, or what are your thoughts and rationale about who should be on your team other than people you trust? Like for example, DP is a GC, so he knows multiple things, right? What about having an architect on your team or somebody who specializes in mechanical on your team, or how does that work?
Well, with an architect, I have the privilege of going to school for an architectural engineer.
So yeah, you're good.
I don't need
Yeah, you're good money.
Right, I don't need
right.
So I understand, and that becomes a problem with my male architect.
Right.
He knows more than I know apparently.
Right.
But I have looked at plans that he's looked at plans, and I know more than him. So you got to find an architect that is willing to work with you and not look down on you because you're a female.
Understood.
Okay?
Understood.
As far as subcontractors, you will go through many before you find the ones that work well, complete their jobs, pass their inspections,
Right.
and charge you fairly.
Right.
So
Right.
that in itself is a challenge at this point, 20-something years in, because they transition in and out just like any people with any other type of
Absolutely.
jobs. So at this point, I can safely say I'm really good with a couple of different electricians and an HVAC guy, but that plumber, I got a good one right now.
Right.
I got a great plumber right this minute.
Right.
But how long will he last?
Right.
So you just have to. It's weeding out.
So it's always good to have multiple.
Yes, because
people just in case.
they're always busy too. So
Yeah.
if he's not available for this job, you call the next one and see if he's available for the job.
Right. So let's talk about this beautiful home that we're in, that we're
Okay.
actually having an interview with. Right?
Okay.
So when you found this property, how did you find it? Did like a realtor say this opportunity was available? How long did it take to renovate, and what were some of the pitfalls or pluses and challenges that you had when you was renovating this spot?
A wholesaler brought it to my attention, and it was a combination
So
purchase.
let's stop this. So wholesaling is one of the things that we will be discussing in our
Yes.
class on August 22nd. So
Yes.
This is a perfect example of how she found the property through a wholesaler.
Yes, don't forget to register on Eventbrite. Link is down below. All right.
So this property was a wholesaler, and it was a combination. It was this house and the lot next door.
Okay.
And so I made that purchase.
So you still have the lot
I
next door?
still
too?
have the lot next door.
Okay, good.
I have it listed right now, so if someone makes me a reasonable offer, I'll take that. If not, in a couple of months, I'll go ahead and build on it.
Right.
So once I acquired the property, I set up a loan to do the renovations. Got the budget together, set up the loan to do the renovations.
Now, was it a hard money loan?
Yes.
Okay. So hard money loan is also something that you will actually be learning about in the investor boot camp.
Yeah, and Carla actually went through one of the lenders that I deal with on a regular basis to get the loan. But it made it very simple because she paid cash for the property. So
Right.
when you pay cash for the property, the rehab money is very easy, much more easier to acquire.
Good. Okay.
So I
We
got-
teach them while
Yeah.
we're doing it.
so I got my architect
Right.
to redesign it. Now they can't necessarily see the house as you've just walked through it, but there are only 3 things in this house that are original to the house, the plan.
Right.
That front door, that doorway, and that bedroom right there. Everything else is completely different.
Right.
So once the architect designed the house, I had some issues, just trying to make sure I got the permit. Once the permit came through, it was time to rock and roll. Unfortunately, when you got just maybe 5 or 6 feet past this hallway, everything was rotted. There goes my contingency. And I think that was probably the only setback on this one was that the framing.
That was it was a major setback because there's so much unknown behind the walls until you open it up, and especially the flooring. Because this house was maybe 70, 80 years old.
Just found out it was built in 1930.
1930.
Yeah, so that's 90 years.
90
yeah, so you expect some things to be out of whack and rotted because of just the age of the house. But Carl and I, we're almost like family because how long we've known each other, and she actually argues with me on a regular basis. So we fight through this whole process. So I get the calls at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and at 10, 11 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? When she's thinking of something, I need to tell Delonte to do this. I need to tell them to do this, and whatever comes to her mind, whenever it comes to her mind, I get a phone call. But that's not the problem because she's actually compensating me, paying me to help her through this process.
Right.
So
Right.
that's my job.
Yeah. But also, it's what you love to do anyway.
Yeah.
So, this is, it can be fun, although it can be stressful, but it is something that you love, so it can be fun as well.
Yeah, and you're going to go through the stressful times through any project because it's construction and you're not building new and you're dealing with many different subcontractors. So you're dealing with different people, different personalities, and everybody has their own schedule. Regardless if they told you they're going to be here tomorrow at 8, they may or may not get there because something else may have came up.
Right.
And you don't have to understand it, but you got to keep going.
Right. So let me ask the both of you. Now, Delonte, you actually do specialize in adding additions to existing properties. They expanded to add more square footage, more bedrooms and such. Did you have to do that for this location, or was it already as is?
Or already, this is the same footprint.
Okay.
Yeah, so we didn't have to go outside the footprint, but we had to rearrange all the rooms to make it what it is today.
Right.
Because you want to get as much function out of the house as possible.
Yeah, because I think it was listed as a 2-bedroom, 1-bath originally.
Right. And you have 3 bedrooms now with 2.5 baths. Correct. What were we talking about in terms of timeline from start to finish?
I think generally I shoot for 10 to 12 weeks.
Okay.
And I think I'm right at 14 weeks. It might have taken 2 extra weeks, but that comes from different subcontractors not handling what they're supposed to handle or being here on time. One guy can throw you off a week if they just don't accomplish what they need to accomplish in their time frame.
Right.
So I can attribute that to one particular subcontractor.
No question. So what is the next step in terms of, now everything the house is on the market.
Yes.
So, all right, so obviously, how long has it been on the market for right now?
4 or 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours, right. So, so the goal is to, like you did, you fixed it, you flipped it, you get the funds, you move on to the next thing.
Yes.
And that's how it goes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how you hope it goes.
That's how in theory.
Yeah.
If all things go well,
all things go well.
That's what you want.
Right.
Yeah, because you have a beautiful home, but at the same time, it's up to your realtor at that point. It's like you just hand the keys over to your realtor and let them go to work, and hopefully they do their job and bring the people through the door. And all you need is one person, to purchase. Even if 3 people come through the door the next week, if one of them want the house, you're successful.
Right.
If the numbers are all right.
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 The main thing, if you're new to this, please walk through it with someone who has a lot of experience, because quite frequently we'll see people watching too many HGTV,
Right.
and they'll get duped from different contractors, even general contractors. Or they can everybody can do it on their own. They watched enough shows to do it on their own.
Right.
And they will usually end up in a hole.
Okay.
Before halfway through the project. And some people will lose the house in foreclosure.
Right.
And now it becomes mine.
Right.
I've had that happen.
Yeah. Tell us about it. What happened?
Last summer, I got a house, and I had been watching this house for a while because I was working on the house 2 doors away. So I found, by my father.
What's the Fairburn?
No, it was College Park.
College Park. Okay, yeah.
And so I asked my dad about it because the house I was working on was next door to my father. He happened to own that house, so I was doing some work for him because he wanted to sell it.
Right.
And he asked a couple of the neighbors. They say, well, hey, I'm not sure what's going on with the house. They found the person who actually had the house. So I sent my agent over. He looked at it. He set up, he told me what the price was. So when I got there, I was in total shock. It had already been renovated.
Really? Like move-in ready?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was about $18,000. It was move-in ready. I decided it had a full basement, so I decided, well, let me just go ahead and fix the basement. That should help my sales and boost my numbers a little bit. So it was that was probably a 6-week project because lucky. I think I put in 2 extra cabinets and a counter, another piece of granite, and I put in a shower door on the main floor.
Awesome.
That's all I had to do to it. So.
All right. Well, that concludes our interview. On behalf of Delonte and Carla, I'm Dev. Peace, beautiful people. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, our IG page, and our Facebook page. And don't forget to register for our boot camp. Peace.